Everybody, Mike Johnson from PWInsiderTV here. We are at the aftermath of the debut of the brand new documentary on former WWF star Rocky Jones, who worked as Mighty Mike Masters, and Mike Jones, Mean Mike Masters, who worked in Los Angeles and the WWWF and a million other territories. And to his right, a face that everybody knows, James Maritato, a.k.a. Little Guido, who was trained by Mr. Rocky Jones. Now, talk about the, obviously you guys known each other a long time. Talk about the, where the film first developed from and how it first came about.
Well, Alex, the producer, is one of my, I'm a personal trainer currently, and he's one of my clients. So, during his training, a lot of times I would talk about old stories and stuff that had happened to me in the wrestling business, outside of the wrestling business. And he said, we got to do something with this. We got to put this on film. This is such a great story. He said that we need to put this on film. I was like, sure, okay, why not? And Billy, which is his partner, and Billy is the director, they got together, and Miles came out from California. Miles West came out from California, and the three of them followed me around with a camera for a week, basically just filming my life currently and also listening to the stories. And I showed them a lot of the old videos and stuff like that. And they put it all together and just did a phenomenal job. I mean, really fantastic job.
One of the interesting things about the film is, you were working for the WWF at the time, and your daughter was about to be born, and they were sending you out to all these towns. Right. And it was right about the time where they first really exploded, and they were sending guys, instead of just being in the Northeast, just nationally. And you went, nope, I'm done. I'm taking time off. I'm going to be with my daughter.
Well, do that. Well, what exactly happened was they had called me. I had sent a few pictures into them. I had worked for them back in '79 and '80, and this was now 1988. And I've been on the road, so I traveled. I was out working in California, in Portland, in Florida. I was in Japan a few times. It was all over. And I had sent a few pictures, and they called me and said, Mike, we'd like to bring you in. So I explained to him at the time, I said, look, my wife is about 2 weeks out. We're going to have a baby. I said, and I really want to work for you. I mean, this is a dream. I want to come back to work for you, but I just want to be able to stay local. Right now until my daughter was, she was my daughter when she was born, but when my kid's born. And he said, okay, no problem. So the first time they had sent me, I lived in New Jersey, they sent me down to the Thomas Dunn Arena, which is in Elizabeth. It was 20 minutes from my house, which was great. I had a really good match. I think Grizzly Smith was the booking agent there. So he had to make the report, and he sent back that I had a really good match, and I worked with Barry Horowitz. Barry, phenomenal worker, made me look like $1 million,
Very good. So we're talking probably about 87, 88 at this time period then.
1988.
Okay.
Yes. Then the next time they called me, they had booked me up in Syracuse, but I was flying out on a Saturday afternoon, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They were flying me back the next morning at 11 in the morning. So, I was only going to be gone overnight. I knew, she wasn't going to have the baby that day, so that was good. Once again, I had a really good match. I worked with Danny Davis. He used to, he was a referee and became a heel.
Dangerous Danny Davis.
That's it. Foundation. So then, report went back. Tony Gurria was actually the agent. Report went back that I had a really good match. So the next following week, they called me up, and they had me booked in 13 towns. I said, this is phenomenal, But they had me out in the Midwest, like Des Moines and Kansas City. And I said, well, when I first spoke with you, I said, I didn't want to leave at this time because my wife's going to have a baby, and they're like, well, we got you booked, and if you don't want the job, somebody else will, we got 1,000 guys waiting to get this job. And I was like, and give it to them, because I'm not going to leave. And I said, I'll call you back, in a couple months. And I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And I never worked for him again until about 2 years ago when he did a commercial for him up at WWE headquarters with Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
But you made a decision that many people would have made, Rock, and I give you a lot of credit for that. That's. Unfortunately, in the wrestling business, sometimes you have to put your family aside to make the money and take care of the family afterwards.
Yeah.
And,
I was fortunate to have other stuff going on at the time,
right.
so
you didn't have just wrestling.
It wasn't just wrestling.
Right.
It wasn't just wrestling. I had other things. I had that TV show. It was on cable TV. I was doing a fitness show on cable TV. Right.
And plus, you had All My Children.
Yeah, I did a couple episodes of All My Children. So I had a few things in the fire. So. I was lucky with that anyway, but I never regretted it. Sometimes I'll wonder, how far I could have gone or what could have happened with my career, but I never regretted it.
Now, one of the ripple effects of that was that you led your life into different directions, including being a trainer, and you helped you met this man, James Maritato.
Yep.
So what are your memories of Guido, as we all know him affectionately, when he first walked into the school the first day?
This guy was like, he was a natural. I mean, the first time he got in the ring, he amazed me. The things that he can do. The first time he got in the ring, I mean, he bounced like a rubber ball. I mean, I'd throw him all over the place, and he just, get right up and, I mean, had an unbelievable attitude, loved the business so much, and was a natural talent. And I know he had a really good career. Honestly, they missed out because they should have pushed him even harder because he's phenomenal. He's an unbelievable wrestler, always in top shape, and he's on top of it, he's just a really great guy. I mean, this is the kind of people you want working for you. And, he was just, like I said, I was amazed by it. And within 3 months, he was ready for his first match.
Which is not a lot of guys take to water, like a duck to water in the ring.
He is the only guy that ever had that picked it up that quickly. The only guy. And I've trained a lot of guys. I helped train Crowbar and a litany of guys. And he's the only guy that picked it up so fast. But he had such a love for the business, And if it wasn't for the fact of the talent that he has, I mean, obviously he's not a big man. He's not. He's not a big guy. He's not 6'2". He doesn't weigh 240 pounds. So he had to have something in order for them to have him working there for what, 10 years?
About 7.
7 years in the WWE. So he definitely had something special.
So, with the film, you talked about it right after it had ended when you spoke to the audience. It's kind of like being eulogized in a way. What's your hope that for those who see the film, what do you hope they take out of it?
Life's about decisions, and think long and hard about what you're going to do. Don't go for the brass ring sometimes because you might have to sacrifice too much for it. I mean, it's all a personal thing, But really, what I want people to take from it is that life it's all about making the right decision. And hopefully, I know I made the right decision for me, but hopefully that's the message. And also you never quit. You never stop pushing. You always continue to try to advance yourself one way or another. Whatever the vehicle is that you choose. And you're going to get knocked down a lot of times in life. More times than not, you're going to get knocked down. But you want to keep on coming back. Keep on making that comeback. Keep on making the comeback all the time.
The basic story, I think, is life after professional wrestling, which a lot of guys have a hard time adjusting. Which I made a living in the business since I met you when I was 19. You trained me. I wrestled between Japan, ECW, WWE, all the way until 2008 when it was all over, and I was able to adapt into the real world. And like you were doing bail bonds and stuff like that. I mean, I made great money, didn't make millions, but I still needed to work. And I credit you with that because I looked at you and had the career that you had, and I seen afterwards, if you don't make millions, you have to get back into the system. You have to go to work. And that's something that I knew one day it was going to end in the wrestling business, and I've said this in many other interviews. When it ends, you have to get back, like you just said, you get knocked down, you get back up, you forget about all the stardom and everything, and you get back into the real world and do what you have to do.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. Why are you guys the exception to the rule, and why do so many guys have a problem kind of moving back into the real world? Why is it that when they're released from prison, so to speak, they have a problem associating back and getting back into the groove of the real world?
Well, wrestling, there's a real great entrance in wrestling, but the exit's not so good because you get into the wrestling business, and especially obviously when you get into business, you're a young guy. And here you have all this fame, and you're making money, and people want your autograph, and there's all women, and everybody wants to be your friend. You walk
all
into
of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, you don't walk into a bar, you don't pay for a drink, or there's women throwing themselves. There's so much that and you think that this is going to go on forever, and you have this mentality that it's never going to end. All of a sudden, you look in the mirror and you're 40 years old, and you know nothing but the wrestling business. Where do you go? Now, I think what really helped James and myself, Guido and myself, is that we both had real strong families. So that always kept us grounded. No matter how big or popular we got, we always had, that family background. And I think a lot of the guys don't have such strong family backgrounds, and that could be the possibility of why they don't exit well. I mean, in most cases, the exit is they die. And that's the sad part of it. You know, I mean, I think about this all the time, and there's so many guys in this business that I traveled with and partied with and wrestled with, and they're gone. And it just kind of blows your mind sometimes to think about that, how many people have gone that we knew intimately.
I think a lot has to do with me knowing the afterlife of after wrestling is because of Rocky, because you always told me and training, you know, it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. I honestly don't think deep down, and this is nothing to you ever thought I would even make it to the WWE, but you always told me those things. And when I didn't make it, I know you were very proud of me, but at that time too, you always told me it's not going to last forever. Know your bearings, know what's going on, you know. And even when I went back to do the refereeing thing, you told me to think about it. That ain't going to last forever either. So he was always good in my corner, always to give me good advice. And I think I learned from him, and that helped me because he wasn't the type of trainer to say, oh, you're going to make millions, don't worry, and just took my $3,000 to train me how to wrestle and didn't give a shit about me. I really think he did care about me, and he tried to prepare me for it if you did make it, which I don't ever think you actually thought
Well,
I
I
would.
knew, because you had the talent. I knew you would make it.
But I
knew you
appreciate
would
that,
make
but
it.
he always prepared me for when it's over.
Right.
And that's it.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. Rocky, we hope the film does well for you as it starts to make the rounds. And one last question for each of you. Favorite match of the other? Is there a favorite moment for you, James, about Rocky, or in Rocky, how about you about James?
Well, my first match I ever had was versus you and Fazio in Parsippany.
Yeah.
It was me and the Kodiak Bear
Yeah.
versus you and
Yeah.
Jerry Fazio.
Yeah.
So that was my first match I ever had in the wrestling school. My first match I ever had was for the Savoldis with Eric Fox in Parsippany.
Yeah.
So, and that was a lot of fun, and you guys kept messing with me and wouldn't tell me anything that was going on. You know, and I knew nothing, and when I went out there, and everything worked because I was with a bunch of professionals, but I had no clue on what was going to happen. So
I think it wouldn't be my favorite, but the most memorable match that James had, we were wrestling up in Cutchers. And,
broke my jaw.
Yep. James
That was memorable, all right.
He was on a match before I was in the next match, and he was wrestling with another young
We
guy.
were wrestling for the Savoldis, Mario.
Wrestling for the Savoldis, yeah.
IWCCW.
And he was wrestling another young guy, another green guy.
SS Powerhouse.
And the guy was going to come off the top rope and do a somersault and land on top of James.
Supposed to do a 450. He did like a 162.
Well,
On
anyway,
my face.
I'm standing there, and I see James get up, and he's full of blood, and he's coming out. So I thought that the guy broke his nose. And I see him holding his face like
Why
this.
the nose?
Blood. Well, it's hard to miss.
I had a feeling you were going to say it.
But anyway, I didn't realize when he was walking back, he was actually holding his face together. Because when the guy came down, he came down with his knees, 240 pounds off the top rope, on his jaw, and he didn't break the mandible. He shattered his whole
They couldn't even
chin.
fix it. They broke me from here to here and in pieces. So they knocked all my bottom teeth out. So they had to cut me right here to fix from here to here. Then they cut me under my chin and fixed all this. To this day, right here is still numb from that. Right here. It'll never come back. Just this little section. I used to have problems when I used to go drink something. You know, now I'm used to it. It's been 15 years.
And Jules all over himself. And that's normal.
Now I make excuses. I'm not drunk. My lip is fucked up.
But anyway, then we're taking him to. We had to go bring him to the hospital. We're up in Cutchers, and it's in the middle of winter, freezing cold winter, ice all over the place. And this guy's got a van, and we're driving. And this guy's hitting potholes and moguls. And every time he hits one, James is like, "Oh!" So I'm yelling at the guy, "Slow down, you idiot!" This guy's like, he's holding his face together. So finally, we get him to the hospital, and it was like a dog and cat hospital.
They couldn't take care of me.
They couldn't do
They
anything.
took one look at me. They said, "We can't help."
And
you."
they
flew me to Westchester Medical.
Yeah, they
Center.
took him down to Westchester, and they performed the operation down there. But that's I would say, most memorable match. I'm not saying it was his best match.
It wasn't a good match, no.
But it was the most memorable match.
Which you could actually probably catch on YouTube. Damian Stone versus SS Power.
I was about to ask.
It was on TV because I have it on tape. But when you watch it happen, it doesn't do justice because it doesn't look like you don't really see what happened. You just see me get up and my face is down. But when he lands on me, you don't really. It doesn't look bad. But I have it on
It
tape.
looked bad. Not there,
It was
but it
bad
looked
when I
bad.
walked in the back.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope next time we talk about memorable moments, it's not near-death injuries. How about that?
Sometimes it's good to bring those, and everybody has a great moment. Yeah. A fucked up moment.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you for your time. Rocky, we wish you nothing but the best with the film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with
Ja-
everything.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
James, we thank you as always for joining us. And Rocky, we look forward to sitting down with you and having a longer conversation about your
Yes.
career very soon on the site.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, for everybody here at PW Insider TV, thank you both for your time, and everyone have a good day.